should we be partnering, like you said, to partner with other Christians? This, I think, is one of the first times I've seen so many churches partnering together just to come to a conference like this, and it's a blessing to see that. But now, should we also partner then, and you touched on this a little bit, Celeste, with those nonprofits that already do the work? And a lot of times they also have access to the government funding. They have the structure set up, the framework for us to go ahead and go in and volunteer. And a lot of times they ask you not to share the gospel or not to necessarily bring in your religion, things like that. And so what do we do in that circumstance? And would you suggest us to go ahead and partner with them?
One of the ways that we can go about doing community ministries is it's an approach called asset-based community development. And what it does is it looks at a community, it looks at all of the assets within a place and what's already going on, and seeks to kind of bring them together for the sake of, so that we're not just kind of doing our own thing, but rather we're becoming part of something that's already going on. I think it's another way to be able to say, where is God at work here, and how can we become a part of this? I think it's important to, as Christians, to be able to get a place at the table. So what I mean is, instead of just becoming volunteers, but rather can we become people who can have equal relationship with whatever is going on in the neighborhood, be they Christians or non-Christians, and give our input and become a partner. And I think that would be a really important thing to do, so that it's not just individual Christians who are kind of just going out and doing things, but rather can we as churches become organized enough so that to be able to say, look, our motivation is for Christians. We're here because we're compelled by the gospel, and we're compelled by the love of Christ, and that's why we're here, and that's what we're doing. But you're doing the same things in some ways. There's some correlation. You might not be doing it for the same reasons that we're doing things, but we want to be a help to each other. And unbeknownst to you, and this is what I would be thinking. Unbeknownst to you, you're doing God's work, we're partnering in this together. But at the same time, I think you don't want to be kind of just going into situations and where you're just volunteering and furthering the different organizations and their work. But I think you represent the King, and I think we need to be able to do that. I think we can do that. So even when we partner with other non-Christian organizations, I think we want to be able to say, I'm doing this for kingdom purposes, and that's what. And so some of these restrictions that come about, well, if we can't partner, then that's okay. We don't need to partner at this point. But I think we find ourselves there are many situations when we can, and people are open, and people want to partner with Christians even though they might not, and it gives great opportunities to witness.
I think if you look at the kind of Bible-based authority structures that are clearly identified in the Bible, we could see civil government as a God-ordained reality. We could see family government. We could see church government. Certainly, I think you could make a pretty strong case for business leaders as an authority structure. Those that would not glean their land, but they would have a role to play with the poor and the needy. And if we don't look at things from a holistic point of view, and again, I don't want to keep drawing back to Haiti, but it is something on my heart right now. But if you don't bring in government leaders into the discussion, and I like what you said about like a place at the table. If you think about who should be at the table of discussion for mercy, we can influence all these people, but there's if we're working with sex trafficking or something, there's a safety net that society, the social services network, if we're not connected with some of the governmental agencies, we're not utilizing all the resources that God has for us. And in a place like Haiti, even though the government is broken down and collapsed, again, this tent city that I'm working with, 20,000 people, they have their own police force. It's a very interesting environment. The city that it's in is a city called Carrefour, and they lend the police security guys to the mayor's office of the city because they don't have any. So they're actually serving the city and teaching the mayor's office how to run government by running this tent city. You know, so, but they're understanding that that is the God-ordained government. And if we can help them become better, then we all become better in the process. And so, again, I think it's a very complex issue. Another way to look at this might be like the Jim Collins Good to Great seats on the bus. And I've heard this talked about in my environment. Anybody can have a seat in the bus, but who's driving the bus? We'd like it to be Christian leadership driving the bus, so that we can influence the others and not be just a passenger somewhere. So that's some of the as we're gathering people in a room or around a table, we'd like to have our leadership be in charge, if you will, and have their voice and have their assets and expertise.
I just think it's important to understand that there is common grace to even non-believers who are doing these things. And so I think that we have to be able to see that they have gifts that maybe we don't, in one sense, that they have abilities and resources that we don't, but also to see that there's limitations to what they can do because they can't preach the gospel, because their motivation is different. And so I think having that understanding when you work in Christian nonprofits and Christian charities is important.